To draft the basic sleeve, you are going to measure around the armhole of the top you are working with. So I have mine here. So I'm going to start the measurement. I'm going to take the front armhole measurement first from this joining of the shoulder. I'll measure it to the underarm. I have 8.5. Okay, so here at the underarm 8.5. I'm going to write it down front 8.5. My measurement for this drafting of the sleeve are in inches. Okay, so now I'll move to the back armhole. So I'm going to start from the underarm where I stop for the front here. I'm going to measure up till the joining of the shoulder. For this back armhole, I also have 8.5 inches. So I'm going to write it down just the same way we did for the front. I'll write back 8.5. I'm going to add the two measurements together, 8.5 plus 8.5. I have 17 inches, so I'll write it down. Front and back measurement is 17, so I'm going to divide the 17 by 2 now. Okay, 17 divided by 2, I have 8.5. That's the same measurement, 8.5. Okay, so this 8.5 now, I'm going to add quarter to it. 8.5 plus quarter of an inch, right, 1 over 4. Okay, equals to, that's 8, 3 over 4. 3 over 4. Okay, so we have it. This is the measurement we'll be working with when we are drafting our sleeve. Another measurement you need to draft the basic sleeve is the bicep. Okay, that's the widest part of the arm. So just put your tape around it, measure it, not too tight and not too loose. The widest part of the arm, then you write it down. Another measurement we need is the cap height. So I have my elastic round my arm. Okay, I place it just like half an inch below my underarm. Okay, half an inch below my underarm. So now I'm going to measure from the bone joint here at the shoulder. The bone joint here at the shoulder, I'll measure to where the elastic is. Whatever measurement I have will be my cap height. So from the bone joint of the shoulder to where the elastic is, that's the cap height. To start the drafting, I'll first draw a margin at the top. I'll just create a margin here. Also at the center of my pattern, I'm going to create a line. The line should be the length of my sleeve, that's from the shoulder to the wrist. So I'm going to measure to know where to stop. The length I'm working with is length 25, so I'll just measure. Okay, I have 25 inches, so I'll just put my dot here because I want to square a line at the bottom here. I need so that my line will be straight, so I'm going to come here also and mark 25 inches. Then here also I'm going to mark my 25 inches. Right, then I'll square my line. The next measurement I want to input now is the cap height. So I'm going to measure from the top. The cap height I'm working with is a 4.5 inch. So I'll measure here 4.5, put a dot because I want to square a line so it will be straight. I'll mark 4.5 here and also 4.5 here also. Then I'll square my line. So from this cap height and the wrist, so I'm going to divide the space in between. I'm going to divide it into 2. I have 20.5, so if I divide it by 2, that will be 10 quarter. Alright, so from this point now, I'm going to come up by 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch, then I'll put a dot here. So this will be my elbow line. So I'll just square a line. The measurement we got when we measure around the armhole, this 8 3/4, we're going to make use of it right now. Okay, so from here now, I'm going to measure the A3/4, touching the cap height line like so diagonally. Make sure it's touching the cap height line, then I'll put a dot there. Then I'm going to divide my bicep measurement. I'm working with 12 inches, so I'll divide by 2. Then I'll measure from the center line upward like so, 6 inches. So I'll get the midpoint of the two measurement now. 1.5 divided by 2, 3/4. So I'll put a dot. So from this 3/4 now, I'm going to square a line diagonally to touch the apex. I'm going to measure the diagonal line, this line. I have 8.1. So here, whatever I have here now, I have to impute it here. So I'm going to measure diagonally also 8.1, then I'll square a line. Now I'll be dividing this line into 4 spaces, 8.1 into 4 spaces, that's approximately 2 inches. So just mark 2 inches like so, put dots there, then I'll do the same to the other side. I have 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to label. This is the back, alright, then this is the front. Here at the back, we have 3 dots to give us 4 spaces. So the first dot, we're going to mark 3/8 of an inch. You mark it inward, that's into the space, inward 3/8 of an inch. Mark it inward and put a dot like so. I'm going to square a small line. Alright, then the next dot now, I'm going to go out by 1/4 of an inch. The first one is in, then this one is going to be out. I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch, then square a small line. Now the next dot, which is the last dot, I'm going to go up by 5/8 of an inch. That's a point after half. So 5/8, then I'll mark and square a line. Now I'm going to use the curved part of my ruler to connect them together in a curve. I'm going to connect here to here, here, then here and here. Moving to the front, the first dot, I'm going to mark 3/4 of an inch out. Okay, up, I'll mark 3/4 of an inch, then square a line. The next dot, I'm going to mark 3/16 of an inch. Please, you need to know how to read your tape rule. So I'll mark 3/16 out. I'm going to square a small line. Then the last dot is going to be inward. So I'm going to mark 1/2 inch inward, then square a small line. I'm going to connect everything together the same way we did to the back in a curve. I'm going to use the curve part of my ruler, connect them together starting from the top to the underarm. Now, whatever value you have here at this bicep line, so you measure, I have a 0.27, so I'm going to minus 2 inches from it. So that will be a 0.25. So I'll come to the wrist, then measure it. I'm going to put a dot there. I'll do the same to this other side, a 0.25. Now I'm going to connect it together. I'll square a line. So the next steps, I'll be using a different marker. I'm going to use a red one so I can differentiate it. So at this elbow line, I'm going to come out by 1/4 of an inch. Alright, then I'll connect the dot to the bicep line. We want to create an elbow dart. Okay, so from this 1/4 inch out to the center line, I'm going to measure, then get the midpoint, then I'm going to put a dot at the midpoint. I have 6.5, so the midpoint will be 3/4. Okay, then from this quarter out, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, then I'll mark it. Now the measurement I have from this 1/4 inch to the midpoint, that's 3 1/4 inches. I'll make sure I have it here. I'll slant my table touching the 1 inch that will mark down 3 1/4 inches. Then I'm going to connect it to the center dot. The measurement must be the same. Now to the wrist, I'm going to go in by 3/4 inch. 3/4 inch. I'll put a dot there. Okay, then I'll go to the front side. From the elbow to the wrist, I'm going to measure. I have 11 inches. Okay, then I'll come back to the back. From here, this 1 inch that I'll mark down, I'll make sure my tape rule will touch the 3/4 that will mark inward. This 3/4, I'll slant it like so, then measure the 11 inches I have at the front side. Put a dot there. Then I'm going to connect it. I'm going to connect the dots together. I'm connecting from this point to the 11 inches dot. Now we want to draw a new wrist line. So we measured the original black one, the black line. I have 9/3. So 9/3. Then from this red line now, I want to impute another wrist measurement. So touching the wrist line, the previous wrist line, I'm going to measure diagonally 9/3. Then put a dot there. Then I'm going to square a line with my red marker. Draw the line like so. Then I'm going to connect the new line to the elbow line. Just connect. We're done. If you want a sleeve with an elbow dart, you make use of the red line. If you want a sleeve without an elbow dart, you make use of the black line.